A billionaire woman saw a man collecting plastic bottles from the garbage bin right outside her mansion at exactly 6:15 that morning. She almost ignored him. Almost. But then his worn-out sack ripped open.
No, not again.
Oh my goodness, are you all right?
And what spilled across the sidewalk wasn't plastic. It wasn't stolen money. It wasn't drugs. It was a weathered leather folder containing a university degree, handwritten medical research notes, and a faded family photograph that made her stop breathing. And this is the moment that changed 2 lives forever. But before we continue, please take a second to like, follow, and subscribe to become part of the Storygasm family. We share powerful stories that remind us that hope can appear when you least expect it. Now let's continue. At that moment, Victoria Sinclair made a decision that would uncover a secret buried for nearly 2 years, expose a betrayal no one saw coming, and change 2 lives forever.
45-year-old Victoria Sinclair had forgotten what a full night's sleep felt like. Not because she worked too much, not because running an $8.9 billion logistics empire demanded endless hours, but because silence had become her greatest enemy. Every night, after the last phone call ended and the final assistant wished her good night, she walked through the enormous halls of Sinclair Manor alone. The mansion sat on nearly 12 acres in Buckhead, Atlanta's most exclusive neighborhood. Behind towering wrought iron gates stood a home that magazines once called the crown jewel of modern southern luxury. It had 12 bedrooms, a private art gallery, an indoor swimming pool surrounded by imported Italian marble, a wine cellar that held over 4,000 bottles, a glass elevator overlooking perfectly landscaped gardens. Everything money could buy except for peace. Most evenings, Victoria stood on the second floor balcony overlooking the city skyline. Atlanta sparkled beneath her like a sea of diamonds. Thousands of lights, thousands of homes, thousands of families eating dinner together, laughing together, living together. Then she turned around and walked back into a mansion that echoed with nothing but her own footsteps. Luxury had become another word for loneliness. Victoria hadn't always lived behind walls. She grew up on the south side of Atlanta, back when her father, Samuel Sinclair, drove delivery trucks 12 hours a day just to keep food on the table.
Samuel.
He wasn't an educated
Victoria.
man. He
Just got this
barely
one
finished
secured.
high school.
Over here, please.
But he possessed something Victoria would spend the rest of her life trying to earn: respect. Everyone in that neighborhood trusted Samuel. If someone's car broke down, he was there. If a family couldn't afford groceries, he quietly left bags of food on their porch before sunrise. If an elderly neighbor needed medicine, Samuel found a way. He never waited to be asked. He simply noticed. Victoria was only 16 when everything changed. One rainy November evening, Samuel collapsed while unloading freight at a warehouse.
What's wrong? Are you okay? Call 911.
Dad! No, Dad! Oh God, please, no!
The ambulance arrived quickly. The hospital did not. An administrative error delayed his treatment. Nearly 40 minutes passed before a cardiologist finally saw him. 40 minutes. The doctors later admitted those 40 minutes had cost him his life. Victoria never forgot sitting beside his hospital bed, holding a hand that was already growing cold. His final words weren't about money. They weren't about success. They weren't even about death. He looked into her eyes, forced a tired smile, and whispered,
Promise me, Vicky, no matter how rich you become,
Never stop seeing the people everyone else walks past.
Everyone else walks past.
I promise.
She promised. She meant it. For a while, she even kept it.
If you are still watching,
it means you're one of the people who truly appreciates a great story. At Storygasm, we share powerful stories, billionaire dramas, emotional true life inspired stories, shocking betrayals, and inspiring tales of justice and redemption. Follow and subscribe now to become part of the Storygasm family so you never miss our next incredible story. Now, let's get back to the story. At 24, Victoria founded Sinclair Global Logistics with one leased warehouse, 2 delivery trucks, and every dollar she had managed to save. She slept in her office, delivered packages herself, negotiated contracts during the day, loaded freight at night. Failure was never an option. Not after watching her father die because ordinary people were treated like they didn't matter. Within 20 years, her small company became one of the largest privately owned logistics corporations in North America. Governments trusted her. Hospitals depended on her. International companies competed for her contracts. Business magazines celebrated her as one of America's most powerful self-made women. People admired her success, but only few understood the price she paid for it. 3 months earlier, her closest friend had betrayed her. Not just any friend, Daniel Crawford. The man who had stood beside her for 14 years. The man she trusted enough to sign billion-dollar agreements without reading every page. The man she once called family. Then, he disappeared, along with nearly $52 million. Forensic accountants later uncovered shell companies, forged approvals, hidden offshore accounts, and years of carefully planned deception. The money hurt. The betrayal hurt more. Victoria stopped believing kindness came without conditions. Every compliment felt calculated. Every handshake felt suspicious. Every smile looked expensive. She built higher walls around herself. And unlike the gates surrounding Sinclair Manor, no one was allowed inside these. That was why she left home before sunrise every morning. Not because she loved working, because work distracted her from remembering. At exactly 6:12 a.m., her black electric sedan rolled toward the mansion's front gates. Her longtime driver, Charles, slowed as the security gates opened. Then he frowned.
Ma'am?
Victoria looked up from the financial report resting on her lap.
What
is it? Charles pointed toward the curb outside the estate. His back.
We are passing him now,
glanced
ma'am.
through the window. Near the large recycling containers placed outside the property service entrance, a man quietly sorted through discarded plastic bottles. Thin, worn jacket, faded backpack, a knitted cap pulled low over his forehead. He moved with surprising precision. Not rushing, not scavenging wildly. Every bottle was inspected. The plastic went into one sack, aluminum into another, cardboard into a third. Like someone following instructions only he could see. Victoria looked away. Drive. Charles nodded. The sedan moved forward. But after only a few feet, something happened. The man's overloaded sack snagged against the sharp edge of the recycling container. The old fabric split open. Plastic bottles rolled across the pavement. A thick leather folder tumbled onto the sidewalk. Loose papers scattered into the morning breeze. The man immediately dropped to his knees. Not to gather the bottles, to rescue the papers. His movements became frantic, desperate, as though those worn pages mattered far more than everything else he'd lost. One document slid several feet across the driveway, stopping near Victoria's car. She looked down through the window. The morning sun caught an embossed gold seal. Emory University. Below it, she could just make out part of a name. Marcus Bennett. And beneath that, 3 words,
that made her heart beat slow. Master of Public Health. Victoria frowned. She looked back toward the man. His hands trembled as he carefully brushed dirt from the certificate before placing it back inside the folder. Not once did he glance at the bottles still rolling into the street. Almost as if those papers represented the last remaining pieces of a life he refused to let disappear. Victoria stared for several silent seconds. Then she quietly said something that surprised even herself.
Charles,
Yes, ma'am?
don't drive yet.
What would you like me to do?
Victoria never answered. Because for the first time in years, she found herself asking a question that had nothing to do with profits, shareholders, or billion-dollar contracts. Why would a man with a master's degree be digging through garbage outside my home? She didn't know it yet, but finding the answer would pull her into a story of love, loss, betrayal, and resilience that would challenge everything she believed about success. And before the week was over, she would discover that the man kneeling outside her mansion had once spent his life saving strangers, long before anyone thought to save him. Before you go, we would love to hear from you. What do you think happened to Marcus? Tell us in the comments. We read every single comment. And please, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to Storygasm so you don't miss the next part. This is Storygasm. See you in the next story.